Hello, my name is Mark, and I will be your host on the Chartreuse Leprechaun channel. Welcome. A little bit of an introduction before we backtrack several days to where we actually started. It dawned on me that I should probably let you know where the Chartreuse Leprechaun comes from. Um, Years ago, when my kids were little, they would ask, "What happened to my toy, the dish, the door, the dog, the tree, whatever?" And for whatever reason, I just started spouting off random stories that involved a Chartreuse leprechaun. It would be some combination of animals and colors and deeds, and the leprechaun eventually ended up being the culprit who did it. Uh, Something along the lines of the blue giraffe and the green flamingo were running down the road and they tripped and fell into a car, and a wallet popped out, and the Chartreuse leprechaun took it. And when he took it, that actually turned out to be the money that was the insurance company was paying to replace our cars, so we don't have one. Something along those lines. And yes, I literally just made that up, and it's a crappy story, but you get the idea. Every episode is going to have a Chartreuse leprechaun story on the front end, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have fun with the games that we end up playing. And again, welcome to the Chartreuse leprechaun. I hope you enjoy. Hello, and welcome to the Chartreuse leprechaun. He's not here right now, but I'll be glad to take a message. I may or may not give it back to him, but here's here's a snapshot of our studio, or what will be our studio for as long as I'm in this area. Needs a lot of work, lots of cleaning, lots of paint, but clearly it's a disaster area, which is exactly what you would expect with the Chartreuse leprechaun, because when anything happens, it's always the leprechaun that did it. Uh, he's behind everything. Well, maybe not everything. Sometimes it's this blue flamingo, but he's not really blue. He's turquoise. And everybody mispronounces his name as TARDIS, but he's got nothing to do with the doctor. Yes, that doctor. But I digress. If you'll stay with us, this is day one. We'll get there. And in the meantime, if you see it happen, the leprechaun did it. All right, so for our first game around, we're going to be playing Subnautica, which is a fun single-player game. Um, the It's got a lot going for it. Uh, it's fun. It's challenging on multiple levels. It makes you think. The clues are subtle, and you can actually miss them. There's multiple levels to this game, and I've played through on one of them, and I was probably halfway through the game before I realized I missed a clue so that I could complete the game, and had to go back and find it, and it was just a challenge. So the second reason is um, I've got some personal limitations. Right now, I'm on limited keyboarding and controller time, so playing multiplayer games is not an option for me at the moment. Um, the It's been a progression of things. In 2010, I was diagnosed as possibly having had a stroke. Strangely enough, my neurologist said gaming would be a great way to rehab my brain. So go figure that one out. Um, Later on, I was diagnosed with something called hemiplegic migraines, which means one side of your body tries to basically turn off. Uh, my description is, think of the most difficult workout you have ever had in your life and be that tired on exactly one half of your body. Just draw a line right down the middle and be tired on one side. Then throw in any combination normal migraine symptoms. Could be headaches, could be vision problems, could be both, could be other things. Uh, it's nasty. But that also means that until we manage to get the brain working correctly, MMOs, multiplayer games, are not an option. And most recently, I went through something called thoracic outlet syndrome, where they had to go in and unpinch some nerves. 7 months post surgery, and they're letting me work with a 3 pound weight now. So uh, all of that means that I'm limited in game time, and I'm limited in how much keyboarding and such that I can do. So we will be in the single player games for a while. Hopefully, we can get to the multiplayer at some point. Uh, but also, there's some equipment limitations here. To be honest, I'm using a headset microphone. I have no mixing. I use a couple of free programs off the internet, Lightworks for video edits and Audacity for audio edits. Um, we're we're working working on a better setup, but as you saw from the room video, we got a long way to go. But back to the game. Why I like it. Again, there's no level ups. There's no points to the next thing. It's not endless killing. Matter of fact, it's kind of difficult to kill anything in the game. It can be done, but it's not easy. It's just exploring with a purpose, and the purpose is to get off planet after you've crashed on it. So, the, another thing I like is the graphics. As you can tell from the screen, the graphics are really good. Um, the uh, they're clear, they're crisp, there's very little lag. Although you may see some on this game, I am, as I said, running that foldingathome.org program in the background, so you may occasionally see some stuff crop up that looks kind of odd in terms of lag and screen uh, freeze and so forth. I apologize, uh, but I'm running a Ryzen 5 3400G processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and occasionally it has a problem running a game and that folding program. So just be aware. Um, what I don't like about the game, and mind you, these are all personal peeves. Uh, it's almost totally linear, as opposed to say, we'll say Fallout 4, where you can kind of go around and do what you want and pick up the story as you go along. You can't really do that in here. There's no side quests. There's no. Uh, it's you. There are steps you have to follow. Um, Even so, it's still a lot of fun and a challenge. And the animal attacks, some of them don't seem to do proportional damage. Uh, one fish will take 30% of your health, and a bigger fish will take 30% of your health. It just seems a little odd. Uh, and the last one, there's really is a personal peeve. You can only play alone. But I can just imagine doing this as, say, a team of two, where you're trying to keep each other alive. That would be fun. Um, at any rate, let's take a look at the game here real quick. The uh, When you start a new game, you have four options. The first one is survival, and in survival, you have to pay attention to food, you have to pay attention to water, you have to pay attention to your health meter, you have to pay attention to your oxygen meter. You can die, but you will respawn at your nearest base, wherever that might be. You lose whatever you had on hand. Let me rephrase that. If you Once you leave the base, anything you gathered before you died, you'll lose. Um, but you do respawn. It is in infinite respawn, and it's automatic. The second level is called freedom, and in that you only have to worry about your health and your oxygen. The same rules apply. You respawn if you die, but you don't get to keep your stuff, except the stuff you left your base with. And then there's hardcore mode where all of that applies, but you only get one life. If you die, game over. And the last one is creative mode, and I've never played with that. It just seems kind of pointless to me. Nothing matters. You can't die. You can't complete the story. You can only explore and goof around, which I admit would kind of be fun, but I like a purpose. So I just don't really see the point of that. So with that, let's get into the game. Now it takes a minute for the game to load, so while we're waiting, I want to talk about foldingathome.org. You can use your spare computer capacity to help find cures for diseases like Alzheimer's, COVID-19, and more. So please visit foldingathome.org to see how you can make a difference. Now, I said before that the Chartreuse Leprechaun is behind everything. So to prove it, let me explain the game according to the Chartreuse Leprechaun. The Chartreuse Leprechaun saw the spaceship Aurora approaching the planet, so he convinced the purple fish to fire up the alien cannon and shoot it down. Yes, this is the alien cannon from the game, so spoiler alerts. Now, the green giraffe realized the ship was about to be destroyed and everyone on it killed. So, working with the indigenous tribe of blue frogs, Union Local 1546, the green giraffe chased away the purple fish before the targeting sequence was complete, so the Chartreuse Leprechaun, with no other alternatives, was forced to eyeball the shot. He barely hit the Aurora, causing it to crash on the planet, instead of being totally destroyed. And so the game begins. All right, so here we are at the load up is complete, and I hope you enjoyed that little storytelling. This is where the game sets all kinds of things up, so we're just going to let it play, and I'll come back when the setup is over.
Attention. Hull failure imminent. All personnel abandon ship. Launch in 3, 2, 1.
All right, so here we are on the life pod. We need to grab that fire extinguisher and put the fire out without running into the fire and getting burned. Spray, 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 spray. Hee-haw. Could pass that one up. And this is our computer PDA thingy booting up. It will always be talking in your ear, so pay attention to it. By the way, a lot of what it says is a clue.
Suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optimal outcome. This PDA has now rebooted in emergency mode with one directive: to keep you alive on an alien world. Please refer to the databank for detailed survival advice. Good luck.
I like that. Good luck. And an optimal outcome for being smacked in the head by a big piece of heavy-duty sheet metal. Yeah, that's always encouraging as an optimal outcome. All right, so a few things about your life pod. First of all, you do have a storage device, and you can quick select stuff to go into your slots down here. You're not going to need a fire extinguisher for a while, so go ahead and stow that. You have a health meter, you have a food meter, you have a water meter, and you have an air meter. Don't let those get to zero. Duh. I'll say it anyway. I know it's not nice, and I apologize. So, food, all you're going to find on this planet is fish. There are some plants that are edible eventually, but it'll be a while before you get to those. Water. You do dehydrate while swimming around in the water. So pay attention to that meter. It will sneak up on you just like the others will. Let's see. That pretty much covers that. Oh, the storage. Yeah, you see all these storage slots? You will fill that up, and you will need more. There's a way to get more, but gather stuff. You're going to need a lot. We'll cover that as we go. Medical kit. This fabricator will build a medical kit over time. I haven't paid attention to the exact time frame for that because usually I'm out and about doing stuff. I come back and it's done. I don't know when it got done. I have not sat and just watched this thing. You'll notice it's gone from 0 to 3, 4, 5% probably by the time I'm done with this little intro on this thing. So yeah, you're going to need medical kits. Make sure you have some on you. I probably overdo it and carry between 6 and 8 as a rule. You do what seems best for you. Fabricator. This will be your most important. This is kind of like the rifle for an infantryman or a marine. It is your best friend. This is where you do stuff. So starting with resources, you've got materials and you've got electronics. So you break down materials, you combine them, you make stuff, and you use that to make other things. Electronics, same way. You need 2 copper for that, 2 acid mushrooms and a mushroom and two acid mushrooms and a piece of copper to make a battery, and so forth. Food. This is where you will cook your fish, filter your water, all that wonderful stuff. Your personal items. This is your equipment and your tools. Equipment is a better oxygen tank, fins, some other stuff. You'll on the oxygen tank, you'll notice this is 45. That is units, not necessarily seconds. It's going to depend a little bit on how deep you are. It's going to depend on what equipment you're using at the time. For example, a rebreather makes your oxygen that much more efficient while you breathe it underwater. It'll last longer. So it's not necessarily 45 seconds. Don't count on that. Let's see. And of course, you can make fins and so forth. Tools. Scanner. It's the most important thing you can get early in the game. You scan everything in order to get information, to find blueprints, to build stuff, to do whatever. You'll need all that information later. Repair tool. You'll notice over here there's this real sparky thing, and the radio over here on the wall was smoking. This is what you use to fix it. If you've got if a fish attacks something that you've built, a base out in there, a habitat, whatnot, this is what you would use to fix it. Flashlight is self-explanatory, takes battery, some glass, so you're going to need some crystal for the glass and the stuff for the battery we already looked at, and so forth. Knife. This is the only offensive weapon you have. Everything else is whack it on the head and make it go away. This, you can actually stabby stab it, and it will, like I said earlier, it's really hard to kill anything, but it will make it not want to come near you again, depending on which animal it is and how big it is, and so forth. Last are what they call your deployables, things you will use in the water. I mentioned extra storage. There's a waterproof locker here, so this will give you room to store more stuff. It's not as big as the onboard one, but I have yet to play this game or start to play this game without at least 3 of these before I get to the point that I can actually use all the stuff. So don't limit yourself on your scavenging, but be aware that you may have some storage issues. Mobile vehicle bay is exactly that. You have the ability to make a couple of submersibles in the game. You will have to have this in order to do it. You'll notice it says ingredients unknown. You're going to have to scan items, what they call fragments, so that your onboard computer will know, oh, that's how I make this or that. Same thing with the Sea Glide. That's the thing you see in the movies and the commando things where they've got the machine that pulls them through water. That's a Sea Glide. Let's see, and that's pretty much it for in the cabin. There's the radio, all smoky and sparky and stuff. So let's take a look outside. Now, I said outside. We're going to go into the water. And I mentioned earlier that the graphics are they're awesome. Well, this is what I was talking about. And we get a big fishy, and boom, we're in the water. And that is some awesome graphics. The clarity of the water, the reality of being in the water is just awesome.
Zero human life signs detected.
There's a fish.
New creature discovered.
There's another fish.
Alien
need those to
unexpected applications.
Feed yourself and drink. The purple bladderfish you can use to limestone, rocks. Yes, you need these rocks. That's a piece of copper. So we found a piece of copper, and we got a couple of acid mushrooms. Now we're going to the surface. About that little warning that just popped up. 9 is, it's going to tell you oxygen. You have to have it now. Get to the surface. If you are deeper than about 25 meters, you're going to die. If you are below 30 meters in the water, it will give you a warning when I think it's 30 meters, might be a little bit more. It'll give you a warning that says 30 seconds. Remember, it's not seconds, it's units of oxygen. So you need to get to the surface as fast as possible when you hear that warning. And once you clear the surface, you'll notice it refilled the oxygen meter. Oh, titanium, perfect. This is scrap metal salvage. You're going to want a lot of this. It will, among other things, it says I'm hungry. I know I'm hungry. but I can still swim a little bit. So I'm looking to see if I can find some more rocks or something. Take a few seconds anyway, I hope. And apparently I'm not in a place with rocks. How about that? Well, then we'll get to the surface. Ooh. Nasty little critter there. Interesting phenomena. If you're swimming on the surface, the evil, ugly, aggressive critters won't bother you. I'm not entirely sure why, but they won't bother you. So, all right, and here we are on board. And all right, first things first, we can have 4 titanium because we picked up that metal salvage. So we'll break that down. And then we have the means to make a battery. We have 1 copper, we have 2 acid mushrooms, so we'll make that. And then anytime you make something that can then be used in something else, you'll get this little warning that says, hey, you can now make that. It's a new blueprint in the system thing. Second thing, anytime you see something blue over here, it means you can make something that's in that category. Anytime you see a number on top of it, it means there's a new recipe or a new, they call it blueprints, to make whatever. Okay, so we're going to come in here and we can make this with the battery and the titanium. That's good because we really need that scanner. And we can make the bigger air tank. We'll make that. And there it goes. And now it says there's another one we can make. Excuse me. And I will tell you that every time you do this, it adds another 80%-ish of what your oxygen capacity is on the tank you're carrying. So here we go. We have 1 bladder fish, which will make 1 bottle of filtered water. And then we have 1 fish. Cook the fish. Now, there's 2 things we can do with fish. You can cook it or you can cure it. If you cook it, it's good for a certain amount of time, then it starts to decay. If you cure it, it never does. It just lasts. So pay attention to that. We'll get out of that. We'll come in here because it's mad at me because I need food. We'll eat some food. That should keep that happy. And we'll drink the water. That takes that happy. Everything is happy. Yay, happy. And yeah, we did all that walking and running and swimming and whatever you want to call that. And it went from 4 to 93% in, I guess I'll say 8 minutes. 6-8 minutes. So that's how quickly that redoes itself. And you'll also notice that the time factor in this game is very compressed. I think I read somewhere that no, I don't want you to do that. And I do want that. These little fish for water are awesome. You want them. So yes, more food. Outstanding.
New creature discovered.
Another fish. I realized I should be scanning the fish and I'm not. That's because they go too fast for me to scan. I will, on the other hand, scan a couple of things so you can see how they work. All right, so we got oxygen time, and when it does that, you can pull up your PDA, and it will give you this. If there's a section under, anytime you scan something, it's going to give you a screen like this. When it does, if it's useful for something, it will give you this assessment line. Inedible, but acid has application. Battery manufacturer might say edible, high water content, or something. But yeah, so now we'll go back up here. Before it gets mad at me and tells me I'm out of air, we'll come back to the fabricator and we can make a bunch of water. Have some capacity for that. That's always a good thing. Oh, I've got a few more of those than I thought I did. And we'll cook another fish. And we'll cook another fish. And we'll cook another fish. And that should be all the fish. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. So now we picked up three more different kinds of, we've picked up 3 kinds of fish. So it was telling us there's 3 recipes there. How to cure fish. So it takes one of the fish and a piece of salt. It said that we built something here, and because we built the battery, we can now build a power cell, which you will need for the submersibles, but until you build submersibles, you're not going to need them. So, and then when I remember it said you could build the high capacity oxygen tank because you had made the other one. So we want the materials for that. You want that extra air capacity. There's even a bigger one than this, but you have to find that recipe out in the wild. So, we'll open up our storage and we'll stick an extra water in there, and we'll have a fish, and we'll have a fish, and we'll drink of water, and that is awesome. I hear the dinging back there. That means our medical kit has fabricated. Now we got 2 of them, which makes me feel a whole lot better. Yeah. Probably pushing the limit of my arm and hand, but I wanted to get to making a couple of things. We made the bigger tank. I want to make us, we made us a scanner. I want to make a fin and some flashlights, or a flashlight rather. So, look at, and there it is. It's daylight again already. So yeah, here we go. Got one. We need materials. So we'll go diving in here, see what we can find. There's a silver. That's good. There are, well, we'll scan that. There are different kinds of outcrops. These little, they call them nodes. In some places, oh, we got gold. And we'll put that down. And we'll come over here. Each type of node has certain types of materials you get in it. Uh-oh. Yep, there was our 30-second warning, and we were down at 30 meters. So, yep, that's about how it functions. And we'll come up here, refill the oxygen, and, oh, those yellow things. Yellow things are what you need to make rubber. How many did I manage to get? I think that was 3. There we go. 5. Oh, I got a lot of it. Okay, oh yes, that blue marker over there is your life pod. Every time you get a notice that that something happened somewhere or another, or you leave a beacon behind, or to get to a particular location to find stuff, then it's gonna show up as one of these little blue things on the map. So kind of remember that. And rubber. So we're going to make some rubber. And you'll notice that one of those yellow things makes 2 pieces of rubber. And it also makes 1 lubricant. Now we don't need that right now, but we will later, so I'm going to make a couple of them. And then I'm going to make that. Come down here to equipment, and we needed 2 pieces of rubber to get fins. So now we can swim a little bit faster to go with that slightly larger oxygen tank capacity. And now we'll put stuff in there. Thought I caught a fish. Did I let it go? I must have. Well, that wasn't very good. But we'll be okay. I still wanted to fins. I'm darn near where I wanted to be. A couple other items I wanted to hopefully make. Stalker fish, by the way, are aggressive. That's that big long alligator looking thing over there. They are aggressive and they do bite, and they live in those kelp forests. So keep your eyes out if you're in there. Yeah, you don't want to mess with them if you can avoid it, but, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Ooh, A stalker tooth. I don't normally find those this early. That's cool. Yikes. Yeah, he just took 20-some% off my health. Not good. Not good. That's salt. Excellent. I could cure fish and do other stuff. Excellent. So... yeah, look at the depth of field on this. It's amazing. 3. We want our scanner out because here's some junk. We're going to scan some junk, like that grab trap.
Oxygen.
And then we're going to rush to the surface. I hope. Yeah, we're going to make it. Got to 0, but we cleared the surface before it went black. Once your vision field goes black, you're done. It's not going to let you do anything more. So, what else we got over here? Anything?
Short-range scans suggest this biome supports extensive biodiversity and connects to a number of small cave networks.
Copper, excellent. Need that copper. Well, I thought there was some, hopefully more stuff here in these boxes at this site. Apparently, there is not. Well, that's a bummer. Alright, well, put the scanner down. We'll go back to the surface. And there we go. Oh, we've got all kinds of storage room. That's awesome. So we're going to swim on down to this area. Oh, you'll notice that my the ring around my visor keeps changing colors. The brighter that gets, the closer something dangerous is. So you've got kind of an early warning device. Nice. A lot of salt here. This is good. That means I can start getting ahead on a few things, which is awesome. Large chunks. You actually have to come back with, there's a piece of equipment you can make that will include a drill arm, and that's what you have to be able to get into those. We're at 60 meters. We had a 30 unit warning, and it took us 20 seconds to get up from 60 meters. So one of the things this game did not take into effect is the bends, or into account rather. That's over nitrogen in your bloodstream from swimming underwater at great depths, and if you rise too fast, it'll kill you. This game doesn't include that, which I'm very thankful for. Silver, that's good. Oh, if you happen to hear something that sounds something between a buzzsaw and a sander, that is my dog, or one of them, sleeping underneath my desk, and the sound is capturing through. So, yeah.
30 seconds.
Up, there we go, 70 meters. And that took about 20 seconds as well. So you get the idea on how much you can play with this while you're swimming around. Pay attention to your meters. They are your lifeblood. Let's see here. We need some quartz, so we'll take that. Take that. We'll take this. Frankly, as long as you can swim around and gather stuff, do so. Eventually, it's going to be you've got to go around and gather stuff and find stuff from around the world, and you're going to need these resources to do it. So early on, it's a lot of scavenging.
30 seconds.
We're at 40 meters, so I know I've got a few seconds. I'm going to grab a few acid mushrooms. Okay, I think we have to stop. This went a little longer than I'd intended. Whoops, where's my... oh, there it is. a little longer than I intended, but I did spend a lot of time just sitting and talking and reviewing things and not using my arm and hand. So we should be okay. We'll get back here. We'll do a little bit of fabricating and we'll call that done for today. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to call it a day right now. So this is the Chartreuse Leprechaun channel. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you see it happen and you don't understand why, the leprechaun did it.